Okay, so it seems like I am now in a position where I can update you all to what has been going on with the proceedings I've advanced against my former university more freely. You see, I attended a public hearing at the Manchester Civil Justice Centre on the 30th of June. This was listed in the public domain, Fanning versus the Open University, and the public gallery was open. A few gentlemen from London even travelled up to observe the proceedings and make sure that things were in order and to support myself, and that was greatly appreciated. And the documents that have been put before the judge, you can request these, so they are in the public domain. So finally, I can actually talk about certain aspects of what has been going on. So just to recap for those of you who are unaware of what I'm talking about, I have advanced several legal claims against my former university for multiple breaches of the Equality Act of 2010, including multiple acts of direct discrimination, victimization, harassment, discrimination and victimization of philosophical and factual beliefs under the Granger versus Nicholson case law, one of those counts being victimized for stating that Black Lives Matter is a terrorist organization. I have also advanced claims that the defendant, the Open University, has breached my right to freedom of expression under Article 10 of the Human Rights Act and Section 26 of the Education Act of 1986. So I submitted my particulars of claim back in 2021, and the defence has then submitted a defence. From there, they also submitted an application to the court to strike out my claims. From there, I decided that I was going to respond by clarifying my legal claims and the remedies that I was asking for by submitting an application to amend my particulars of claim. There was a hearing listed for the 28th of February. This was a telephone hearing. I'm not quite sure if that was standard procedure or whether it was something that was taking place due to still the ongoing fear of the COVID pandemic at that time. But that particular hearing got adjourned because there was far too much evidence and documentation to be gone through before judgment could be made, and there just wasn't enough allocated time. So this got adjourned to the hearing that has just taken place on the 30th of June. And this was to hear out the applications of the defence to strike out my claims and my application to amend my particulars of claims. My application to amend my particulars of claim was successful. The application to strike out my claims was obviously not successful, though 4 paragraphs of my particulars of claim that pertain to one of the counts of direct discrimination and one of the counts of indirect discrimination relating to a discriminatory bursary scheme offered by the defendant, and also work placements that were advertised by the defendant, which were also racially discriminatory. Those 2 aspects were struck out, but the rest of my claims still stand. If you'd like to read the documentation, like I say, that's been put before the judge and the judgments that were made at that public hearing, this information is readily available in the public domain. So there have been certain aspects of the orders and decisions made at that hearing that I have wished to appeal, and I've submitted that appeal. I'm not going to go into great detail as to what the details of that appeal is, but again, that will be in the public domain quite shortly, I should imagine, as these things are dealt with rather promptly by the courts. Considering that this has been now 2 years in the making, it does feel like it's been a long and strenuous process. Being a novice litigant in person with very limited legal knowledge, I mean, I was studying law with my former university, but I was studying part-time and only did the equivalent of what would be 6 months for a full-time student. You don't learn anything about court processes or civil procedure rules or the legalese language and the unspoken rules that they have, and it's been incredibly difficult to navigate the legal system, especially as legal advice has been impossible to obtain. Crowdfunding I've not been able to do because they'll never approve my campaign because it's not a case that they want getting to court. And even procedural advice is very difficult to also obtain. I have been given a court order of something that I might find quite difficult, but I hope to be able to achieve it because it will be an aspect that's required of my claim. But I do feel that it does undermine our access to justice, depending on your socioeconomic status. Because in our law, we should be able to access our legal rights regardless of what our socioeconomic status is. If you're a white working class person, you should have the same ability to access the law as somebody from a more privileged background. But that just isn't the case. I mean, I was hoping to be able to give people some pointers and advice on what to do if they wanted to proceed with similar action as a litigant in person. But to be honest, it's not something that I would advise unless you have a lot of time free and understand the stress and expense that's going to be involved. I underestimated the level of work that was going to be involved in this. Sometimes I've been sat at my laptop for over 20, 22 hours a day. And yes, when I've just suddenly been given deadlines and have to move documents through very quickly, it's been quite difficult because the amount of research that needs to be done into the civil procedurals, I don't have access to legal libraries like the defense does to look at case law. So, and like I say, procedural advice has been rather difficult to obtain. But so far, it is going well. As a novice litigant in person, going up against a big institution that is very rich and very powerful and can afford a whole legal team to fight against me, it is going incredibly well so far. So that is all I can update you on in regards to the court case. I do have some more updates in regards to the community interest company, the White Indigenous Rights Alliance, and when we're expecting that launch, and also the upcoming recruitment campaign that I'm hoping you're all going to see. But I hope that satisfies your need for the updates about the court. I'm sorry it takes so long. I had to wait until these matters and proceedings were into the public domain before I could speak about them in any sort of detail. But I'm hoping now that I've sorted out my new uni schedule and other activities, I will be able to record on a more regular basis. I'm planning on doing a live, and I'm going to create an Odyssey and a BitChute account as well, because as many of you may be aware, my Telegram is already censored and I seem to get banned from everywhere. So it might be a good idea if I have these backup accounts. But anyway, thank you guys for watching, and I will catch up with you soon in an update about the White Indigenous Rights Alliance.